This is Deadly Creatures, one of the most unique games I have ever played. This is a game where you explore the insect underworld as a spider and scorpion, and its main gameplay aspect is beating the crap out of other insects. Have you ever seen that before? The answer is no. And just to preface this review, I absolutely hate spiders. I'm not deathly afraid of them, but something about how freaking fast they move scares the hell out of me. I say this because even if you are arachnophobe like I am, and even though this game has some noticeable flaws, it's an experience that everyone should check out. Deadly Creatures is a game all about combat and exploration. Half the game you play is a tarantula, and half a scorpion, with 5 chapters each, and both have the same essential design because you will spend a lot of your time in combat with fellow insects, lizards, and a lot more. And it's not like these are some sort of weird anthropomorphic insects with funny voices, quirky one-liners, and a looming love interest. Nah, these are just bugs. They're just bugs. The spider is more agile, can jump over obstacles, and you can use its web to trap enemies to set them up to pounce on them. There's more exploration with it also, since you can spend a lot of your time slinging from web to web on random surfaces. The scorpion, on the other hand, is more solid. He's slower, but he can dodge, and you have a much wider variety of moves using your tail. Most of the combat consists of finding the right moment to mash the A button and shake the Wiimote to stun the enemies, and this goes for both of them, but the best part, and easily one of my favorite things ever, is when you're the scorpion. Once an enemy's health is low enough, you can activate a quick time event-based finishing move, and I'll just let the gameplay do the talking. Is that not just amazing? Let's see another one! Those are amazing! I don't know about anyone else, but it never once stops being incredibly satisfying every single time. Even years after this game launched, it hasn't gotten old in the slightest. I do prefer playing as the spider since he's speedier, but the scorpion is well worthwhile just to dominate everything around you with these awesome finishers. As far as exploring goes, there are of course some collectibles here. There are a total of 24 green leaf crickets spread throughout the game, which extend your health meter, and a grand total of 450 grubs, which unlock some art galleries. There's actually a sort of Metroid element in the game as well. As you go through the game and defeat more enemies, you'll actually get experience points and unlock new moves. Some are for more combos and battles, but some are for getting into new areas, so you can return to previous chapters and explore some more if you want to get 100%. It's not an open world game since it's cut into chapters, but within the first 6 chapters you'll occasionally pass by previously accessed areas. Then the last 4 chapters are longer and finally change up the scenery. And if you ever get lost, you can easily just press the 2 button at any time and an arrow will show you where to go, which is a really smart move. And believe it or not, the game actually has a story, but it plays a backseat to the, protagonists, I guess you can call them. The story is about 2 men, George Struggs and Wade, who happens to not have a last name, and they're in the middle of the desert digging around for gold. Throughout the game, and conveniently enough, you will constantly end up running into these 2 guys bantering throughout the desert, definitely adding to the atmosphere, and the developers actually created a pretty intriguing story with snappy jokes, treasure hunting, even murder. The ending is pretty anticlimactic, but the rest of the story is surprisingly well done. Whenever these 2 guys are on the screen, you're definitely going to want to listen in. It's a bit too convenient that the tarantula and scorpion managed to follow these 2 guys to the end, but minor details. The game even starts off with an awesome opening that really sets the mood for the adventure that's ahead.
The cops found a stash of gold coins with Spanish writing on them. Now, I'm not one to go believing in cursed treasure. I think it was just my bad choices and bad instincts that got me this time. Same as always.
Oh, and hey, did that voice sound familiar to you? Well, listen to this bit.
I got it! Good God, there's a dead lizard down there.
Well, where else should it be?
You got it yet? George Struggs and Wade are actually voiced by King Koopa and Bad Santa themselves, the late Dennis Hopper and Billy Bob Thornton. They play the roles perfectly, and it still surprises me that this random game ended up nailing some solid celebrities for these voices. There are also video interviews from both actors in the extras menu, and it's always awesome whenever developers add touches like this into the game. I'm surprised more developers don't show off some of the stuff that goes into making their games, but I guess since it's more rare it makes them more special, and this is no exception. So the game has a solid combat system and fun exploration, but it's all about atmosphere and Deadly Creatures. You can tell just from the footage I'm showing that the developers pulled out all the stops and visual details. I don't care about the whole Wii's graphics suck argument. This game looks gorgeous. You explore large deserts, small caves, wastelands, and they all look awesome and incredibly realistic. And the character models all look stunning as well. The two humans are a bit iffy, but all the insects really look like insects and move just like they're supposed to. It's mostly notable when you play as a spider and just watch his legs move so realistically. It's kind of awesome. And as far as the sound design goes, like the visuals, it's fantastic. The sound effects are perfect, the voice acting, again, is stellar, and the music is incredibly atmospheric and sometimes a bit creepy. The soundtrack is mostly just background noise, but that's what it's supposed to be. It just wouldn't feel right having a Mario-style soundtrack in this adventure. This is one of those games that you sit down and engross yourself in what you're playing instead of solely focusing on getting to the next level. Well, for me at least, and I know I'm not the only one. Now you may be thinking this is too good to be true, and that's because it is. Unfortunately, it's painfully obvious that this game is just not as polished as it should be. The camera is less than great and gives you barely any control of it, only letting you shift the camera right behind you. Enemies will occasionally get stuck in walls, the motion gestures don't recognize as smoothly as they should, the battle system can easily feel repetitive if you play in long sessions, and randomly the game will just freeze and load something, really stopping the flow of the game in its tracks. The game is also fairly short. Doesn't bother me so much, but the overall game should take about 6 to 7 hours to complete. I don't mind, but I know a few of you guys might. The game itself is still very enjoyable, mostly thanks to the awesome atmosphere, but it totally could have used a few additional months in the studio to work these problems out. I guess you could say Deadly Creatures has some bugs, I'll be here all night. To me, Deadly Creatures is one of those games that's as much of an experience as it is a game. As far as I know, there really is nothing else like this out there, and it's one of my favorite games on the Wii because of it. There are some obvious problems, but it's awesome battling and destroying enemy insects, exploring the very realistic environments, watching the story unfold in front of you, and engrossing yourself in this game's stellar atmosphere. Of course, though, being a quality third-party game on the Wii, it didn't end up selling so well. So in 2011, a few years afterwards, the developers, Rainbow Studios, shut their doors. So I doubt we'll ever see a sequel, but damn, wouldn't a game like this just be stunning in HD? But hey, the bright side is this game goes for about $15 now, so even if you're petrified of spiders and insects like I am, give this game a shot. You're in for one of the most unique gaming experiences you'll ever have. Hope you guys enjoyed the review, and as always, I'll catch y'all next time.